I want to talk about truth and how in hip hop music today, uh, how the truth has had an impact on, you know, a lot of artists, uh, on, just how we view these artists and et cetera, et cetera. So, as you may know, mental illness is floating around probably every industry in the world right now. But I think mental illness is something that never really has been tackled in hip hop correctly. So, this last month or so, we all know about Kanye West and his tweets. I believe that Kanye West, I strongly believe, I could be wrong, has some type of mental disorder. I personally believe something is wrong with Kanye West. These last couple of weeks, he's been doing some pretty interesting things on Twitter, such as putting his contracts on Twitter. And we're talking about he put maybe 90 contracts on Twitter. He scanned it and just kept posting it back to back. And then he's also been exposing some people for being either racist, et cetera, et cetera. And, just kind of acting erratic on Twitter. Here's the thing that's very interesting. In the midst of him going on these tweet storms, he was actually getting support from artists that were saying that he's actually speaking the truth. I believe Logic came out and said what Kanye West is saying is valid. We believe Logic, right? Logic seems like a sane, regular character, right? We believe Logic. Hit Boy came out and said, I don't really F with Kanye, but what he's saying is true. I can believe Hit Boy, right? He doesn't seem erratic like Logic. And there's numerous people who we would deem as good in a good mental space that has co-signed the things that Kanye West has said. So even though the truth, what they consider the truth, is being put out in the most erratic way, it's still the truth to a lot of people. And it's like, if so many people are co-signing what Kanye West is saying, maybe he is telling the truth. That brings me to a story that I don't think is actually getting a lot of publicity right now. But Jaguar Wright. I don't know if you guys know who Jaguar Wright is. I know exactly who Jaguar Wright is. Let me give you a brief synopsis of why I know Jaguar Wright. Jaguar Wright is one of the main singers on Jay-Z's The Live MTV Unplugged album, an album that I love. Jaguar Wright puts up an unbelievable performance on the song, and one that's very memorable. She is clearly a songwriter, kind of a background singer, somebody that plays the back. So she has been in the industry for quite some time and definitely is known by a lot of people that are artists, but not necessarily to me and you, not necessarily to your average listener, because she plays the back. And you know how it goes. People that play the back actually get to see the behind the scenes stuff that we don't get to see. Well, Jaguar Wright, these last couple of weeks, have been calling out prominent musicians for some pretty egregious things. I'm talking very prominent. Now, when you look at the videos in which she calls the people out on, she actually looks a little out of it. She actually looks kind of crazy, I would say. I would personally, if I looking at based off what I see, might say she has like something wrong with her, like a mental illness also. But once again, going back to what I said, is she telling the truth? One allegation that she had was that Mary J. Blige is a lesbian and that like she's living a fake life. She had another allegation about Alicia Keys and she called her a home wrecker. She said Common sexually harassed her in a behind the scenes at a concert. She has called out Jill Scott. She has called out Erykah Badu. She said, "This is listen to this." She said the Roots knew that R. Kelly was picking up minors. This is the type of things that she is saying. Now, once again, I don't know. I don't know the behind the scenes. I'm not Jaguar Wright. This is what she's saying. But the problem that we have in society and the problem that we have in hip hop is we tend to believe the people that are stand-up people. And we tend to put the people that come across as erratic, the people that come across as crazy, the people we consider mentally ill, and push them to the back. It has literally become a war between mentally ill versus the people that we perceive as being stand-up people. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I believe Jaguar Wright. I personally do not believe the claims Jaguar Wright is saying, but in the end of the day, who am I to say that she's lying? I don't know. You don't know. We all don't know. And so it's becoming a scary moment in hip hop when this is the type of things where we are getting some of the most breaking news we don't know from people we deem erratic, and we're just pushing. We just look at Jaguar Wright. We just look at Kanye West. He's crazy. He's crazy. How many things did Kanye West say that was actually crazy? If anything, Kanye West has been more. He has been more. How do I put it? Accurate with his comments than other people, right? Hit Boy said whatever. Hit Boy against Kanye West said, "Oh yeah, you know Kanye West did me dirty. I work with Beyonce." Kanye West actually got specific, more specific than Hit Boy did. Kanye West, right, has been the one that actually detailed why his relationship with Jay-Z went sour. Have we actually heard Jay-Z actually explain what happened? So like I said before, I'm just going to end it like this. Like I said before, I don't believe Jaguar Wright's claims. That's just me personally. They're so outrageous. But it's not because I think that she's erratic or mentally ill. I just think it sounds outrageous. But at the same time, the people that we consider to be outrageous have been telling some major truths. That's my ill-advised thoughts.
Not bad. I like that one. But as you were saying it, you know, I started thinking to myself, you know, this reminds me very, very, very much of, you know, have you ever watched like let's say Law and Order, right? Or you ever seen any show where they detail a courtroom, and you know, when there's that stuff happening and there's a jury involved, if you notice, the one thing that the lawyer always does when they're defending their client, or even let's say whether they're the plaintiff or the defendant, whatever, the lawyer always attempts to discredit the other person, because when you can show that the person is not trustworthy or consistent in who they have shown themselves to be to the public, it puts doubt into the jurors' minds and say, whoa, like, you know what? I really don't know. You know, it puts doubt. And I think that that's what Kanye West has shown. He's been discredited, right? Donald Trump, he's been discredited. How can we believe anything that comes out of people's mouths who have been discredited, right? That's the challenge, unfortunately. And a lot of this is perception, right?
Mhm.
It's perception. I think your original thing was it's all perception. Like how when you're perceived one way, it's kind of hard to get out of that shadow. So I get it, man. I get it. Honestly, I haven't been following any of this, so this is news to me. But
It's
as you
outrageous.
were talking, yeah, as you were talking, I'm like, listen, how can I how can I validate outrageous claims as if I was there? Well, what do you want me to play detective? I mean, it's what people are doing with Meg Thee Stallion and Tory. We're playing detective for outrageous claims, and at the end of the day, it's everybody's opinion. Am I supposed to know the truth? Are you? No one fucking knows,
No one knows. And the
except
thing
for
is,
those people, right? What do you
and
want me to do?
it's a slippery slope because, how many times have we like knew something, right? And the person's like, that's false, that's rumors, it's not true. And then 20 years later, they come out and say, oh, it's absolutely true. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that happened. How many times does that happen? I, you know, I'm somebody that's not so quick to be like, yo, I don't believe that rumor. I believe rumors. I believe there's some truth to rumors. I'm quick to say that, you know.
Yeah,
And so I was actually one of the
interesting.
first. I was actually one of the first people when the Tory Lanez Megan Thee Stallion situation happened. I remember saying to myself, I was like, you know, when they said that she was at a hospital, it wasn't validated that Tory Lanez shot her at the time. I was when I was starting to connect those two, where I was like, I think they might think he did it, or he might be prime suspect in this situation. So, I definitely, I would say, take every rumor you hear with a grain of salt, but don't dismiss it.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
almost like you can't validate it
it
either.
makes
So
it hard to
what is it at that point? It's just
exactly,
a rumor. It's just a rumor.
exactly. And
Yeah.
another thing,
So
we need to stop putting people on pedestals, but that's another story.
jeez, yeah. Well, that's a whole nother 3-hour discussion for
Yes,
another